Hello, hi guys. This is CA Balakrishna from Lecturepedia.in. We'll be revising audit of PSUs in the today's video. We have already discussed all the standards and we have also discussed digital audit and assurance in the previous videos. You can find those revision classes in the playlist. Now we'll start with audit of PSU. PSU means those organization in which the interest of government is present. They will be known as PSUs, public sector undertakings. Now there are three categories of public sector undertakings. What are those categories of public sector undertakings? Let us see. The first category is those undertakings which are managed by government departments like railways. Railways is managed by railway department, and postal. The postal is managed by postal department. So these are undertakings, government undertakings for which there is a separate government department, right? That is one category of public sector undertaking. See, departmentally managed undertakings. Next, corporations which are set up under separate act. The government, it has set up certain corporations under a particular act. Examples: LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, it is set up under LIC Act. And UTI, Unit Trust of India, it is also government organization set up under a separate act. Next, National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI, which oversees the aspects related to UPI. It is also a corporation which is set up by government under a separate act. So they are corporations under specific acts. This is second category of public sector undertakings. And third category are government companies. Okay, the companies which are incorporated as per Companies Act and in which government has invested. They are government companies, which is third category. Examples: Coal India, NMDC, National Mineral Development Corporation, BHEL, etc. These are government companies. So these are the three categories of PSUs. Okay. What are the three categories? Firstly, departmentally managed undertakings. Next, corporations set up under separate act, and government companies. Now, what is meant by a government company? See, any company in which either central government or state government or both central government and state government together holds not less than 51% of share capital, then that particular company will be known as government company. Because government is holding higher share in that company, you will call that particular company as a government company. You can find the definition here. Okay, either central government or state government or both central and state government together holds not less than 51% shareholding in any company, then such company will be known as government company. Now all these three categories of PSUs will be requiring audit, right? Just like any company, any private company requires audit of its financial statements, the financials of these PSUs, the public sector undertakings which we have discussed, either they might be departmentally managed undertakings or they might be corporations or they might be government companies, even their financial statements needs to be audited, right? Now the auditor for these PSUs will be appointed by C&AG. Okay, C&AG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India. C&AG is a separate authority which will oversee the audit in the with respect to these public sector undertakings. So first of all, let us discuss about this C&AG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now if you see, the name of this authority is C&AG, and the position, or you can call the person who is appointed as chairman of this C&AG will also be known as C&AG. Okay, here the name given to the authority and person who is head of this authority, both will be known as C&AG only. Okay, see, If you see presently in India, the C&AG is Mr. K. Sanjay Murthy. Okay, he is recently in November 2024, he has been appointed as C&AG of India. Okay, he is present C&AG. Hope you understood this concept of C&AG. Okay, Comptroller and Auditor General of India is a separate authority which will deal with the audits of all the PSUs, and the person who is holding or the head of this C&AG will also be known as C&AG. Hope that is clear. See, I have given the note. C&AG is the body, and position of person who is head of this body is also known as C&AG. Now, if you see, with respect to this C&AG, there are certain provisions in Constitution of India. There are 5 articles in the Constitution which deals with C&AG. Firstly, article number 148 of Constitution of India. As per this article, C&AG will be appointed by President of India. Okay, in the previous slide we have seen the present C&AG Mr. Murthy. He will be appointed by whom? The President of India. Next, removal of C&AG can be done only on ground of proven misbehavior. Okay, if there are proofs that the C&AG has misbehaved, C&AG has committed frauds, okay, only if the conviction has been proved, only then you can remove C&AG. Other than that, you cannot remove C&AG. Okay, next, salary and other conditions will be determined by the Parliament. Okay, how much salary has to be paid to the C&AG and other duties will be determined by Parliament. That is article number 148. Next, article number 149. As per article number 149, it will contain the duties and powers of C&AG. Okay, what duties C&AG has to discharge, and in order to discharge those duties, what powers has been given to C&AG. And C&AG's duties, powers and conditions of service act 1971 also defines these functions and powers in detail. Okay, there is a separate act by name C&AG Duties, Powers and Conditions of Services Act 1971, which will listed on all the duties and services and powers of this C&AG. Okay, this is article number 149. Next, article number 150 of Constitution. Now, as per article number 150, C&AG will advise the President with respect to how the accounts of all the public sector undertakings, all the government departments has to be maintained. Okay, based on that advice, President will prescribe the same to all the government authorities and public sector undertakings. Okay, see, on the advice of C&AG, President will prescribe form in which accounts of union and states shall be kept. Okay, whether it might be central government or state government. Okay, how their accounts has to be maintained, that will be prescribed by President based on the advice given by C&AG. That is article number 150. Next, article number 151. As per article number 151, audit reports of C&AG should be submitted to President. Okay, audit reports with respect to central government will be submitted to the President by C&AG, whereas audit reports with respect to state government will be submitted to Governor of the respective states, which further shall be laid before either Parliament in case of central government and state legislative assemblies in case of state government. Okay, so as per article number 151, the audit reports of C&AG will be submitted to President or Governor and they will be laid in Parliament or state legislative assembly. Okay, next, tenure of C&AG. Okay, now Mr. Murthy is the present C&AG. So what will be his tenure? His tenure will be either for a term of 6 years from the date of his appointment or up to he attains the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Okay, now a person whose age is above 65 years, he cannot be appointed as C&AG. Okay, in order to act as C&AG, his age should be 65 years. So the tenure of the person who is appointed as C&AG is either completion of 6 years from the date of appointment or the time he reaches 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. That is tenure of C&AG. Next, organizations subjected to audit by C&AG. Obviously, all the public sector units are subjected to audit by C&AG. Along with those public sector units, we have discussed in the categories of PSU. The first category is those undertakings which are managed by departments, right? Those departments will also be audited by C&AG. Okay, see, organizations that are subject to audit by C&AG. First of all, union and state government departments. Okay, all the departments of union government, that means central government and state government, will be audited by C&AG. Next, all public commercial enterprises controlled by union and state government. Commercial enterprises means those enterprises which are working on profit basis. Okay, for profit basis. All these enterprises, railways, postal department, LIC, okay, all these are commercial enterprises. Okay, even though they are government organization, their motive is to make money, their motive is to make profits, right? So all these public commercial enterprises will be audited by C&AG. Next, non-commercial enterprises, non-commercial autonomous bodies. Now if you see, the government will also frame certain non-commercial bodies, that means not for profit bodies. Example, National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI. It is non-commercial organization, okay, which has been set up for developing payment methods in India. So one such initiative that has been brought by National Payment Corporation is UPI. It has also brought various other initiatives. And if you see, even our ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, is also a non-commercial autonomous body. Its purpose is not to earn profits. Instead, its purpose is to promote education related to accountancy in India. Right. So these non-commercial autonomous bodies will also be audited by C&AG. Next, authorities and bodies substantially financed by central government or state government. Okay, all other organizations in which the state government or central government has invested substantially, even those organizations will also be audited by C&AG. Okay, substantially means more than 51% shareholding, you can say. So all these organizations will be subjected to audit by C&AG. Hope that is clear. Now, generally in case of private limited companies, auditor will be a chartered accountant, right? Now, in case of this government departments, in case of this public sector undertakings also, auditor will be chartered accountant only. Okay, but chartered accountant will be appointed to these organizations by C&AG. Okay, here the term that C&AG will audit the accounts of these organizations doesn't mean that C&AG itself will audit. No, C&AG will appoint auditors. Basically, C&AG will have an empanelment. Okay, all the chartered accountants, they will empanel with C&AG. Okay, you can search in the Google C&AG empanelment. Okay, there you can empanel. Okay, you can list your name with C&AG, and if you are eligible for any audits on a yearly basis, C&AG will allot audits to you. Okay, so for government departments, for PSUs also, audit will be done by chartered accountant only, but C&AG will appoint those chartered accountants. Hope that is clear. Next, committees. Now, to deal with these audit and accounts of public sector undertakings, 3 committees have been established by C&AG, because C&AG itself cannot handle the entire work burden, right? So in order to distribute the work burden, certain committees have been established. What are they? Those committees? Firstly, Public Accounts Committee, estimates committee and committee on public sector undertakings, or you can call it as COPU, right? So these are the three committees which we will be discussing now. Now if you see, the audit reports of C&AG and annual accounts of all the PSUs will be forwarded to these committees, and these committees will analyze those reports and it will forward that analysis to parliament. Okay, see, audit reports and annual accounts are automatically referred to these committees for scrutiny. Okay, now we will see the duties or functions of each of these committees, starting with public accounts committee. Now what are the duties of this public accounts committee? Now this public accounts committee, once it receives the audit reports and the financials of public sector undertakings, it will check whether expenditure that has been incurred was authorized or not. Okay, whatever the expenditure that the public sector undertakings incur, that expenditure should have been authorized by proper officer. Okay, so whether such authorization has been there or not, that will be checked by this public accounts committee. That is the first function. Next, it will also see whether monies were disbursed legally on the purpose to which they were applied. Let's say for example, government has allotted certain 1,000 crore rupees for construction of a particular dam. Now that 1,000 crore rupees has to be utilized only for construction of dam. You should not divert the money. So whether the monies have been properly utilized for the purpose for which they have been allotted or not, this aspect will also be checked by public accounts committee. Next, reappropriation has been made as per the provisions made. Reappropriation means allocation of money. Let's say for construction of dam the budget was 1,000 crores, right? So public accounts committee will see whether the allocation, that means only this 1,000 crores has been used or any extra amount has also been used for that purpose. Okay, even this aspect will be verified, whether reappropriation has been made as per the provision or not, or the allocation has exceeded the provision. Okay, so these are the three aspects that will be verified by public accounts committee. Okay, and this public accounts committee will verify this with respect to public sector undertakings. Okay, now all these three duties which public accounts committee will perform with respect to public sector undertakings, sorry, the public accounts committee will perform these duties with respect to government departments, not public sector undertakings, with respect to government departments. Okay, now all these three duties which public accounts committee will perform with respect to government departments, these same duties will be performed by committee on public undertakings for public sector undertakings. Okay, these duties with respect to government departments will be done by public accounts committee, and the same duties with respect to accounts of public sector undertakings, that is the commercial enterprises, government companies, okay, with respect to those enterprises, the verification of whether expenditure has been properly authorized or not, and whether monies that has been disbursed were properly applied for that purpose or not. Okay, they will be checked with respect to public sector undertakings by committee on public undertakings, scope, the third committee. Okay, we will be discussing that in the third slide. Okay, next committee is estimates committee. Now estimates committee will verify the estimations, the budgets that have been prepared. See, the committee examines the estimates with a view to report what economies or improvements in organization consistent with the policy underlying the estimates may be affected. Okay, economies means by spending 1,000 crore rupees, the government trying to impact lives of some 10 crore people. Now, whether in this program more economies can be gained, like instead of impacting 10 crore people, whether this can be, whether in the same budget can you impact the lives of more people, that is 15 crore people, that is economies. Okay, doing the, sorry, utilizing the same amount for achieving more scale is known as economies of scale. Okay, so whether that can be achieved with the same budgeted amount will be verified by estimates committee. Next, suggest alternative policies. Okay, instead of implementing this policy which the government is thinking to implement, instead of that policy, if you slightly alter that policy or if you implement some other policy, whether you can get more benefit. Okay, the estimates committee will analyze this and will suggest alternative policies to the government. Next, examine whether the money is well laid out within the limit, the same thing. Okay, whether the money has been expended within the budget or not, that will be verified by estimates committee. Next, the final committee, committee on sorry, another one, suggests the form in which the estimates shall be presented to the parliament. Okay, in which format the budgets has to be presented in the parliament, even that format will be suggested by estimates committee. Next committee, committee on public undertakings. I have told you now the duties that PAC, Public Accounts Committee, will perform with respect to government departments. The same duties will be performed by COPU, Committee on Public Undertakings, with respect to public sector undertakings. Okay, apart from that, see, exercises the same financial control on PSU as the PAC exercises over functioning of government departments. Okay, apart from those functions, COPI will also examine reports and accounts of PSUs. Okay, all the reports and accounts of public sector undertakings will be examined by Committee on Public Sector Undertakings, and it will also examine reports of C&AG on PSU. Okay, C&AG will submit audit reports on these public sector undertakings, right? Those reports will also be examined by COPU. Next, examine the autonomy and efficiency of PSU. Autonomy means independence. Okay, whether this PSU is working independently or it is showing biasedness towards any party. Okay, the autonomy of PSU and efficiency with which it is working, even this aspect will be verified by COPU. And finally, such other functions vested in PAC and the estimates committee as may be allotted by speaker. Okay, COPU will also exercise those functions which speaker of parliament will allot to the COPU. Okay, so these are the functions of COPU. Next, role of C&AG. What is the role of Comptroller and Auditor General of India? If you see, these three committees which we have discussed, these three committees will work on the reports that have been given by C&AG, right? If reports of C&AG itself are not there, there will be no work for these committees. So his reports form the basis for committees working, right? Next, C&AG will also scrutinize the notes which the ministries of government will send to these committees. Okay, now the ministries of committees, they will send notes to the committees, these committees, with respect to the expenditures, with respect to the policies that they are taking up. So those notes will be analyzed and scrutinized by C&AG. Okay, C&AG will help the committees to scrutinize those notes. Next, C&AG will also help committees to prepare reports to be presented to parliament or state legislature. Now, these committees, they will prepare the reports that has to be placed in the parliament, because in the parliament much time will not be available to go through all the reports of all the public sector undertakings. So all the reports will be summarized and a single report will be prepared. So in preparation of that summarized report that has to be presented in the parliament, the C&AG will help these committees for preparing such report. Not only such report, any other report that has to be presented in the parliament, in preparation of such reports, C&AG will help these committees. Next, elements of public sector undertaking audits. There are three elements of PSU audits. The first element is people involved. If you see, three people are involved in this public sector undertaking audit. First of all is auditor, and the second person who is involved is responsible party. Responsible party means auditee. Okay, the entity which is subjected to audit is known as responsible party. And the third party who is involved in this PSU audit is users. Who will be the intended users? The public, the government, right? These are the users of the audit reports of C&AG. So the first element of PSU audit is people involved. Who are the people involved? Auditor, auditee, and intended users. Next, second element is subject matter criteria and subject matter information. What is this subject matter criteria and subject matter information? Let me explain this with an example. Now, financial statements. The management, they will prepare financial statements. These financial statements are known as subject matter. Okay, and these financial statements will be prepared as per applicable financial reporting framework, that is accounting standards or Indian accounting standards. That accounting standards or Indian accounting standards are known as criteria. Okay, criteria means benchmark as per which you have to prepare. Okay, financial statements or subject matter, criteria is the accounting standards or Indian accounting standards. Now if these financial statements are compared with the criteria and it is proved that these financial statements are prepared as per accounting standards, they are in compliance with the accounting framework, then you will call it as subject matter information. Okay, if subject matter is in compliance with criteria, then you call it as subject matter information. Hope that is clear. That is the second element. Third element, types of engagements. Now there are two types of engagements. First one is attestation engagement, second one is direct reporting engagement. Now what is the difference between attestation engagement and direct reporting engagement? In case of attestation engagement, the responsible party will compare subject matter with criteria and he will present subject matter information to the auditor, and the auditor has to verify the subject matter information. Whereas that is attestation engagement. Whereas in case of direct reporting engagement, auditor he himself has to compare subject matter with criteria and he himself has to create subject matter information. Hope that is clear. So the difference between attestation engagement and direct reporting engagement is that in attestation engagement, the responsible party will compare subject matter with criteria, whereas in direct reporting, auditor himself has to compare subject matter with criteria. Generally, the financial statements audit is a attestation engagement, whereas performance audit, compliance audit, these are direct reporting engagement. Okay, what is this compliance audit, what is this performance audit, we'll be discussing. The financial statement audit you already know, right? Note, financial audits are always attestation engagements, just now I told you, as they are based on financial information presented by responsible party, whereas performance audit, compliance audits are generally direct reporting engagements. We will discuss these audits. Next, appointment of auditors. how the appointment of auditors in case of public sector undertakings will be done. See, the statutory auditors of government companies will be appointed by C&AG, and C&AG will also direct the auditor on how the accounts of government company has to be audited. Okay, and report includes the directions, if any, issued by C&AG, the action taken thereon, and its impact on the accounts and financial statements. The auditor of PSUs will be appointed by C&AG. While appointing, C&AG will also direct the auditor on how to audit the financials of the government undertakings, and the audit report that will be issued will also contain directions issued by C&AG and the impact of those directions on the financial statements. Okay, this is with respect to appointment of auditors. Now, if you see in the Companies Act section number 139, which deals with appointment of auditor, there we have discussed appointment of auditor in case of you know other than government companies will be done by shareholders of the company, whereas in case of government companies, appointment of auditors will be done by C&AG. We have discussed this point, right? The first appointment, it will be made by C&AG within 30 days, and subsequent appointment, it will be made within 180 days from the end of the financial year, right? This provision we have in Companies Act 2013 section number 139, right? Next, supplementary audit under section 143 subsection 6. What is this supplementary audit? Now, C&AG, it has appointed the auditor, and the auditor has conducted the audit, and he has given audit report to C&AG. Now, C&AG, after seeing the audit report, it felt that the auditor has not done the audit properly. There are still some areas that has to be audited. Okay, if C&AG feels so, then it can order for supplementary audit within 60 days. Okay, supplementary audit means order to conduct the audit of that organization again, because the first time the auditor has not done the audit properly. Okay, so such power is available with C&AG as per section 143 subsection 6 of Companies Act. See, C&AG shall within 60 days, the time limit is within 60 days from the date of receipt of audit report, have right to conduct a supplementary audit. And in this supplementary audit, the information that is required for conducting this supplementary audit will be given by such person who has been ordered by C&AG. Okay, C&AG will order particular person of the organization to submit whatever information is required for conducting the supplementary audit. So such a person will submit the required information. Next, on this supplementary audit report, if C&AG makes any comments, those comments should be circulated to all the people to whom the financial statements, the audited financial statements of the organization have been sent as per section number 136 subsection 1 of the Companies Act. See, any comments given by C&AG upon or in supplement to the audit report shall be sent by the company to every person who is entitled to copies of audited financial statements under section 136 subsection 1. Generally, all the shareholders will be entitled to receive audited financial statements. So to all those people, along with the audited financial statements, you should also send the comments that have been made by the C&AG on the supplementary audit report. Okay. Next, test audit. What is this test audit? You need to understand difference between a supplementary audit and test audit. See, supplementary audit is ordered when C&AG feels that the audit was not done properly, whereas test audit will be done to check whether audit has been done properly. Okay, in case of test audit, C&AG doesn't feel that audit has not been done properly. In order to just cross verify whether all the audit has been done properly or not, it will order for a test audit. Okay, in case of supplementary audit, C&AG found out that audit is not done properly, whereas in case of test audit, C&AG doesn't know that audit is not done properly, everything is fine, but in order to just check once, C&AG will order test audit. Okay, it will randomly select some organizations and it will order for test audit of those organizations. See, without prejudice to provisions relating to audit and auditor, the C&AG may, in case of any company covered under section 139 subsection 5 or subsection 7, that means government company, if he considered necessary by an order, could test audit those organization. And for this the test audit, section number 19A of C&AG Duties, Powers and Conditions of Services Act 1971 shall apply to the report of such test audit. Okay. And types of PSU audits. Basically, there are 5 types of PSU audits. What are those 5 types of PSU audits? First one is financial audit. This financial audit you already know. Audit of historical financial statements is financial audit. Next, compliance audit. We will discuss all these audits one by one. Okay. Compliance audit, I will just briefly explain you. In case of compliance audit, the auditor will check whether the entity has complied with law or regulation, whether the entity has complied with certain policy and regulation or not. Okay, so compliance audit will be done to check the compliance with respect to particular aspect. Okay, next, performance audit. See, the performance audit will be done to check the performance of the organization. Performance will be measured in 3 E's. What are those 3 E's? Economy, efficiency, effectiveness. Okay, in case of performance audit, these 3 E's will be measured. Next, comprehensive audit. Comprehensive audit is a combination of compliance audit and performance audit. Okay, you can also call this comprehensive audit as 360-degree audit. And finally, propriety audit. Okay, in case of propriety audit, the auditor will verify the propriety element. Propriety means ownership element, because in case of government, what will happen is the money that is available with the government belongs to general public, right? And that money will be spent by government officers on various issues or on various programs that are beneficial to the public. Now here, in case of these government expenditure, it becomes very much essential to verify whether those government authorities are utilizing that money with propriety element or not. That means, if I am having 100 rupees and that 100 rupees belongs to me, I will spend that 100 rupees wisely. I will not waste that 100 rupees. Whereas, if that 100 rupees is given to me by someone and it doesn't belong to me, then I will utilize it on wasteful expenditure because that amount doesn't belong to me. I will not take ownership. So, in case of government, the government authorities should spend the amount as if that amount belongs to them. That is known as ownership aspect. They have to take the ownership. Okay, that is that will be checked in case of propriety audit. We'll discuss that in the coming slides. Basically, we'll discuss these remaining 4 types of audit through our book. Let me open the book. Yes. Now let us discuss these types of PSU audits. Firstly, financial audit. This is nothing new, which you already know. In case of financial audit, auditor will express audit opinion on financial statements, right? This will enhance the degree of confidence of the users on the financial statements. This is a financial audit. Next, compliance audit. Now, in this compliance audit, the main purpose of the auditor will be to verify whether subject matter is in compliance with applicable criteria or not. What will be the applicable criteria? Regularity. That means particular law or regulation. Let's say, for example, in our general terms, you are appointed to verify whether income tax act has been properly followed or not. This can be a compliance audit, right? Because you are being appointed to verify compliance with a particular law. Okay, this is known as a compliance audit. In the same way, in case of government department also, let's say, for example, for particular program or for a particular public policy, there are certain rules and regulations as per which that policy has to be implemented, right? Now the auditor will be appointed to check whether the implementation of this public policy has been done as per that rules and regulations or not. This is known as compliance audit. Okay, here you are verifying whether subject matter is in compliance with the criteria or not. Okay, now this compliance audit, it can be done individually or it can be done along with the audit of financial statements. That means along with the financial audit you can also do compliance audit, and you can also do this compliance audit in combination with performance audit. Okay, performance audit we'll discuss. Now what will be the compliance audit process? General process. Okay, first of all, general principles and annual compliance audit plan. You will prepare the plan. Next, planning compliance audits, performing audit and gathering evidences, evaluating those evidences, and based on that evaluation you will report, right? This is compliance audit. Next, moving to performance audit. Now, as I have already told you, in this performance audit, you will evaluate the performance of particular organization or performance of particular program. Now, in evaluating the performance, you will verify three aspects. You will measure performance in three terms. What are those three terms? Firstly, economy, efficiency, effectiveness. What is meant by economy? Economy means doing particular activity in as much as lesser cost as possible. Okay, you have to spend lesser amount for doing particular activity, then it is known as doing the activity in a economical way. Okay, this is the first way in which you will measure the performance. See, issues addressed in performance audit or economy: minimizing the cost of resources for particular activity. Okay, in economy you will speak in money terms, and some of the examples, some of the example questions or some of the example areas that you will verify with respect to this economy, or have the best practice prices been obtained for consultancy services. Okay, the government should obtain consultancy services from the people who are offering at lowest price, and that means that it doesn't mean that you should compromise on the quality. Okay, it should also be qualitative and the price should be also lower. Next, is there potential for reducing the cost? Is there any potential or possibility for reducing the cost of sickness absences? Are there procedure in place to ensure that transport cost of food aid are lowest available? Okay, see, these are examples of ways in which you can verify whether lowest cost can be possible in this. Has there been waste of resources in achieving output? Okay, these are some of the ways or some of the areas you will audit in with respect to economy. Next, going to efficiency. What is known as efficiency? Now, in efficiency, it is in terms of input output ratio. Okay, it can be two ways. You have to utilize lesser resources for achieving a given amount of output. Okay, you want to achieve some 100 kg of output, just an example. Now, for achieving that 100 kg of output, you are using as much as lower resources as possible. You have to use as much as lower resources as possible, then it will be said that you have worked efficiently. Okay, resources can be anything, not only in terms of money, in terms of human resources, or in terms of raw materials, whatever it can be. Okay, in terms of time also, right? So economy speaks completely with respect to monetary terms, whereas efficiency speaks with respect to resources. Okay, so that is one way. Another way is, by utilizing the given resources, you have to achieve as much as output as possible. Okay, so there are two ways. It is a input output ratio. Efficiency is achieved when output is maximized at minimum inputs. Okay, for given minimum inputs you have to maximize the output, or input is minimized for achieving any given quantity of output. Now, some of the areas or aspects that you will verify with respect to efficiency or whether there are sound procurement policies followed. Procurement policies means purchase of materials is known as procurement. Okay, sound policies, that means efficient policies should be there for procuring the materials. Next, resources are properly protected. Okay, after you have purchased the resources, they have to be protected properly. Next, human, financial and other resources are used efficiently. Optimum amount of resources are used in producing or delivering the appropriate quantity and quality of output. Efficient operating procedures should be there, and the objective of public sector program are met cost effectively, that is efficiency. These are some of the areas that you will verify with respect to efficiency. Next, effectiveness. What is meant by effectiveness? Now, effectiveness doesn't deal with the resources or the cost involved. Effectiveness will just measure how much of the objective has been met, whether you have achieved your goal or not. Let's say you wanted to clear both the groups of CA final. This is your goal, this is your target. You wrote the exams, but you are able to clear only group 1. Now here you are only 50% effective because you achieved only 50% of the target. Okay, if you cleared both the groups, then you are 100% effective. So how much of the target you have achieved is known as effectiveness. In the same way, in the government programs also, let's say one of the government program is to eradicate poverty. Now, how much of the objective has been achieved, that is measuring the effectiveness of the program of the government. Now, in this effectiveness, some of the areas are assess whether objectives of and the means provided for public sector program are proper, consistent, suitable or relevant to the policy. See, objectives and means should match. Means means the resources to achieve that objective, that is known as means to achieve the objective. Okay, so your resources should match the objective. Auditor needs to see this. Only if you are having proper resources, you will be able to achieve your target. If you don't have proper resources, you cannot achieve the target. So auditor will see whether objective and means are consistent and suitable or not. Next, determine the extent to which program achieves desired level of results, that is targets. Next, establish with evidence whether observed social economic impacts of policy are due to implementation of policy or due to some other causes. Now, the objective is to eradicate poverty. This program will run for 5 years. Now, the 5 years has completed. The result is that complete poverty has been eradicated. Now, auditor has to check whether the achievement of the objective, that is eradication, actual eradication of poverty, whether that is actual result of the program or are there any other reasons because of which poverty has been eradicated. Okay, whether some private organizations have helped, okay, because of which poverty has been eradicated. You should see that whether the results achieved are completely due to the program or other factors are also involved in achieving that result. Okay, in this area also you have to see, in this direction also you have to verify. Okay, if the result is not completely due to the program, then you cannot tell that the program has worked effectively. Even though the result is achieved, that result is not because that result is entirely not because of the program. So this program is not that much effective. Okay, next, assess whether program completeness duplicates, sorry, whether program complement, duplicates, overlaps other program. Now government has brought a policy or a program to eradicate poverty. Now the steps that the government taking in this program are similar to the steps that the government is taking in some other two other programs. Now this new program will overlap the steps that the government is already taking in other programs, so there should not be duplication. Okay, instead of duplicating, you can just introduce this money in that previous program itself. Why to again create a new program and spend money here, right? So there should not be any duplication. Determine whether management has considered alternatives for carrying out the program that might yield desired results. Okay, whether management has considered other alternatives for implementing this program, and whether management has chosen the best alternative or not. Assess compliance with laws and regulation. Identify ways of making program more effective. Okay, so this is performance audit. In performance audit, you will measure in these three terms: efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. Objective of performance audit. See, the objective of performance audit is to evaluate economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, and also to promote accountability, to promote transparency, and it provides constructive incentives for responsible parties in making appropriate decisions. Next, planning of performance audit. How you will plan for performance audit? Before conducting performance audit, let's say you are conducting performance audit of a government policy to eradicate poverty. Now before doing performance audit, first of all you have to understand that policy. Okay, understanding the entity or the program or the policy. Next, define the objectives and scope of the audit. Okay, what is the objective of this performance audit and which areas you have to verify? That is scope. You have to determine the scope and objective. Then determine audit criteria. Criteria means benchmark. Now for implementing this policy, there will be certain rules and regulations, right? As per that rules and regulations, you have to implement this policy. So auditor has to determine those criteria. Auditor has to understand those policies and procedure. So this can be understood from procedure manuals that are available, policies, standards, directives, and guidelines, criteria used, expert opinion if required, scientific knowledge, and subject matter literature. Okay, from all these sources, auditor needs to gather the criteria. Then deciding the audit approach. So how you will audit? See, you cannot audit all the programs in a same way, in a similar way. Okay, you have to determine your own approach. So some of the approaches are analysis of procedure. You will analyze the procedures or policies that has been implemented, or you can prepare a case study of entire program and you can conduct the audit, or use of existing data, or you can conduct surveys. Okay, you can conduct surveys of public to determine how much this program has helped them, or analysis of results, quantitative analysis. Okay, or combination of any of these you have to perform. Okay, you have to select your audit approach. Then developing audit questions. The audit team is required to prepare list of questions to which they would seek answers. The questions should be framed in comprehensive manner involving detailed hierarchy of questions. Next, assessing audit team skills and whether outside expertise is required. Now auditor, before audit, doing the performance audit, he has to once verify whether all the people involved in his team is having proper proper capacity and capability to discharge this audit, whether they are competent enough. Okay, you need to once analyze this. If they are not competent enough, you have to replace your audit team with people who are more competent to perform or to discharge the work. Next, prepare audit design matrix. Okay, here I have given the specimen copy of design matrix. Next, establish timetable and resources. Okay, by what time you will come, you have to complete the audit, and when should you do each work, the timetable has to be established. And intimation of audit program to audit entities. Here a practical example of performance audit has been given with respect to how you will conduct performance audit of enforcement mechanisms for administering the provision of minimum wages act. Now there is a particular act known as minimum wages act, which will prescribe minimum amount of wage that has to be given for each type of work. Now to enforce this act, there is a administrative authority which will ensure that all the factories or whoever people for whom this act is applicable, whether they are properly following this minimum wages act or not. Now auditor can perform performance audit. Okay, government can appoint auditor to do performance audit of this enforcement mechanism. So in this case, what points the auditor can verify? See, the auditors who undertake performance audit of program or unit must possess knowledge of the industries or labor contracts where these provisions are applicable. First of all, this auditor should have knowledge with respect to applicability of this act. Then evaluate evidence available as to nature of returns prescribed and obtained for taking appropriate action. Okay, the auditor, he needs to gather all the evidence that is taken by this enforcement mechanism and how they have worked. Next, evaluate economy, efficiency, effectiveness in the welfare system to be audited. Okay, these three aspects you will verify in this enforcement mechanism. See, whenever performance audit is done, the verification of these three aspects is mandatory. Okay. Next, study the shortcomings in the coordination between different agencies like labor department, EPF, ESI organization. If you see these organizations, EPF, ESI, these are also organizations related to employees. So whether there is proper coordination between all these three organizations, auditor needs to verify this aspect also. Next, the auditor shall have to point out lacuna. Lacuna means loopholes. Whether there are any loopholes in the system because of which the performance is being affected, right? You need to point out this. Next, study actual level of compensation required in each area, keeping in mind the local living conditions and where the minimum wages prescribed in the statute is demonstrably different from this level. Now auditor should say, let's say for example, in a particular area the minimum wage prescribed by the act is 500 rupees. Now auditor should verify based on the local conditions whether that 500 rupees is sufficient for a person or for the family to get on to live in that area. So auditor should analyze this also and prescribe to the authority for changes. Okay, even this aspect will be covered in case of a performance audit. Okay. Next, comprehensive audit. Now as I have already told you, comprehensive audit is a combination of compliance audit, performance audit and financial audit. Now what points you will verify in case of a comprehensive audit? Examples: comparison of overall capital cost of project with approved planned cost, and whether approved whether the overall capital cost is exceeding the planned cost. You will see that. Next, how planned production or operational outputs have been achieved. Okay, have you achieved your target? Has planned rate of return is achieved, or the systems of project formulation and execution are sound, or cost control measures are adequate, or purchase policies adequate, research and development programs are proper, and is enterprise is having adequate system of repairs and maintenance, procedures are effective and economical, is there any proof or insufficient project planning. Okay, these are some of the areas that you will verify with respect to comprehensive audit. Next, propriety audit. Propriety audit I have already explained you. What is it? You will verify for ownership aspect in the government expenditure, whether the person or the officer is utilizing the money of the government in the same way with same responsibility as if he exercises for his own money. That is known as the propriety aspect. Now, for this propriety aspect, there are certain principles that needs to be verified. What are they? First of all, the expenditure is prima facie not more than the occasion demands. Okay, the expenditure that the government spends should not be more than the occasion demands. Let's say for a particular program it requires 100 crores. Okay, generally it requires 100 crores. Now the occasion demands only 100 crores. You should not inflate the expenditure. Okay, next, the second rule, that the authority exercises its powers of sanctioning expenditure to pass an order which will not directly or indirectly accrue to its own advantage. Okay, the authority who is passing the order should not pass the order in such a way that the benefit of the scheme will accrue to him itself. Okay, the benefit should be for entire general public. Okay, next, that funds are not utilized for benefit of particular person. Okay, the funds should be utilized for benefit of entire public. Next, that apart from agreed remuneration or reward, no other avenue is kept open to indirectly benefit the management, personnel, employees or others. That means there should not be any loopholes for bribery. Okay, the government officers, they should get only the actual salary. Apart from that, there should not be any ways through which they can earn amount, they can earn bribe. Okay, so the auditor has to verify these four principles with respect to propriety audit. Now if you see in Companies Act also, there is this propriety element. If you see section number 143 subsection 1, wherein auditor needs to report only if he finds negative points with respect to these 6 areas. Okay, if auditor finds that there is no negative points with respect to these 6 areas, auditor need not report. Okay, what are those 6 areas? First one, whether loans and advances that are made by the company have been properly secured or not. They should not be prejudicial to the interest of the entity. Next, whether transactions of the company which are represented by mere book entries are not prejudicial to the entity. Mere book entries means, let's say company has to receive 1 crore rupees from Mr. A and the company has to give 1 crore rupees to Mr. B. Now what the company has done is, company has asked Mr. A to give that 1 crore rupees to Mr. B and it has adjusted the entry in its books of accounts. Now these type of transactions which are represented by mere book entries should not be prejudicial. Okay, prejudicial means should not cause loss to the entity. Hope that is clear. Next, see, all these are areas of propriety. Next, where company not being an investment company or a banking company, whether so much of assets of the company as consistent as consists of shares, debentures and other security have been sold at price less than at which they were purchased by the company. Okay, now company has purchased shares or debentures of some other company at 100 crore rupees. Now these shares should not be sold at a price less than 100 crore rupees. Okay, if at all the company has sold any of its investments or securities at a price less than the cost of acquisition, auditor needs to report it under section 143 subsection 1. Okay, next, whether loans and advances made by the company are shown as deposits, whether personal expenses charged to revenue account, and where it is stated in the books of accounts or documents that any shares have been allotted for cash, whether that cash has been actually received. Okay, if cash has not actually been received, whether the position has been properly accounted in the books of accounts. Okay, now propriety audit problems. Now if you see, this element of propriety is a moral term. Okay, moral term means, now this morality changes from society to society. Okay, a particular activity which is moral in one society might not be moral in some other societies. Okay, so this propriety is also a moral term. For some people, they might feel that propriety is there in this activity, and some other people might feel that propriety is not there in the same activity. So this is also a subjective decision, right, wherein some people might feel it is okay and some people will feel it is not okay. For example, for a program, the officer has spent 1 crore rupees. Now whether this 1 crore rupees is the proper amount or the officer has spent more than the required amount, making this decision is subjective. Okay, one person might feel that 1 crore rupees is completely okay for this program, considering the effect that this program is having, and other person might feel that 1 crore rupees is more than the required. Okay, you can do this program in just 50 lakhs, right? So this measuring the propriety element is a subjective decision, and with respect to these subjective activities, you cannot establish rules and regulations, right, based on the circumstances and based on the professional judgment of the auditor. He needs to conduct the audit, right? So this is one of the problem to establish rules with respect to proprietary audit. It is a subjective term and it is also moral term. Okay, and this morals will change from time to time, right, as the time progresses. If you see, the activities which are considered as moral some 100 year back might not be moral now, and activities which are considered immoral some 100 years back will be moral now. Like some 100 year back, women going out for work is immoral, it is not accepted in the society, but the same activity is now moral, right? So this propriety term is also like that only. Okay, you have to constantly check whether it is moral or immoral in the society. Based on that, you need to develop the rules. Okay, since this propriety involves morality, it becomes difficult to develop rules in this propriety area. But however, C&AG, it has developed certain norms of propriety for conducting this propriety audit. And contents of, so these are the 5 types of audits, 5 types of PSU audits. Finally, the final concept, contents of audit report of C&AG. Now C&AG, it will submit the audit report to parliament, right? And I have already told you, the people in the parliament, they will not be having much time to go through each and every report that is prepared by C&AG. There will be thousands of government departments. For each government department, C&AG will conduct audit and audit report will be given. Now this, if you combine all those audit reports, it will become lot of documentation. So all the documentation can't be read in the parliament. So what they will do is, from all these reports, they will gather important points, significant points, and they will prepare summary report of all those reports, and this summary report will be presented in the parliament. So what will be the contents of this summary audit report? Let's see. Firstly, there will be introduction containing general review of working results of government departments. Okay, in the introduction, you will give during this year how government departments have worked, what is the performance of government departments. You will give a bird's eye view of the working of government department. Okay, that is the first section of audit report, which is introduction containing general review of working results of government departments. Next, results of comprehensive appraisal of selected undertakings conducted by audit board. Now audit board, it will select a certain undertaking and it will conduct comprehensive appraisal of certain undertakings. Okay, comprehensive appraisals will not be conducted for all the organizations, only for certain selected organizations. So results of those comprehensive appraisal will be given in the audit report. Next, it will also give significant results of audit undertakings not taken up for comprehensive appraisal. Okay, the particular organization has not been taken up for comprehensive appraisal, but there are certain significant points in the audit of that undertaking that has been conducted. So even those significant results will also be included in the summary audit report, even if it has not been taken up for comprehensive appraisal. Next, resume of company auditors report submitted by them under the directions issued by C&AG. Now it will summarize the points given in all the audit reports, and it will prepare a resume of company auditors reports. Okay, so these are the contents of audit report of C&AG. By this we have completed revision of audit of PSU. Before winding up, a small announcement: we have launched Lecturepedia app. In this Lecturepedia app, you can solve MCQs of all the subjects of CA final, CA inter and CA foundation, and along with that you can also purchase classes of various faculties on Lecturepedia. You can download Lecturepedia app from Play Store. We'll meet in the next revision class. Until then, take care. Bye bye. See you.